Let us talk about responsibilities of piping engineer. Piping engineer really plays an important role during all the phases of any chemical plant, right from feasibility study till commissioning. There will be involvement of piping engineers. In the feasibility study, that time they have to collect a lot of engineering data, a lot of details from site, from many sources. So piping engineers role start from a feasibility study, because they are the only people who will be developing the plot plan, site plan, equipment layouts, right? So many layouts, drawings will have to be generated by them. So their involvement right from starting is really important. They are the only people who are involved in coordination with civil and structural team, okay, to finalize the pipe rack, platforms, foundations, and other structural requirements. That means they have to coordinate, not only piping engineer but other discipline also, they have to coordinate with piping engineering team. They provide support to all the purchase activities. This is really important. They once we are saying somebody is supporting purchase activity, that means all the required documents which you can say as an input for purchase activities are developed by piping engineering piping engineering team. They evaluate once in the starting, they prepare all the documents, then they evaluate all the vendor documents, all the technical requirements. First all the technical requirements has to be listed by piping engineering team, then they pass this information as an input to purchase department. Once they provide the vendor documents, then they have to evaluate all the vendor documents whether all the technical requirements are met or not. Then all the mechanical data sheets, develop required mechanical drawings like nozzle orientation, support clip. So although MDS is prepared by mechanical team, that is a separate group, but at the same time piping engineers role is there. They finalize the nozzle orientation based on their equipment layout, or piping engineering, piping design, piping layouts, support clip, any support which we have to take from equipment, that has to be prepared by piping engineering team. Then prepare piping layout and isometric. Again, this is one of the important deliverable, piping layout, which they have to start working on right from the feasibility study, and it will keep on developing until unless the matured vendor data is available. Then isometrics are something which is very critical, as this will be input to site for actual fabrication. Before issuing the isometric, everything is in design phase, that is on paper. Once these isometrics are issued, this become basis for erection and operability, maintenance, safety, many things. So any mistake in the design will be very costly at site. So isometrics are the document which pass on the designed information to the erection, commissioning, operation and team. So that is why isometrics are really very important. So again, this is generated by piping team, so piping engineer's role becomes very critical. Again, preparation of PMS, that is piping material specification. This becomes basis for all the purchase activities. Not only PMS but VMS also, all the valve material specification. Every project will be having one PMS and VMS, and piping engineering team will be involved to prepare these documents. Then again, preparation and regular updation of material takeoff. So once PMS is ready, VMS is ready, model 3D modeling is started, we have to take off the material. We material takeoff is just a list of material which we want to procure. So this is again associated with the actual cost. So it becomes very important as cost is involved. So any mistake in calculating material will be very critical. So piping engineers role become very critical when we talk about these items. So as piping layout or PNIDs change, they have to update the material takeoff. So MTO again becomes very important, and this is done by material team only. Then review this vendor supply documents. Again, there will be so many equipment data sheets will be there which they have to review so that they can implement all the details in 3D model, right? Then only the model will become much more mature. Then stress analysis of critical lines and support marking of all the isometrics. We have to generate a piping system which is stable, which is reliable. So we have to go through the stress critical stage where the critical lines are analyzed, and each and every line will be supported, and all the support shall be marked on the isometric. So this is again a very critical activity. Then based on this information, the loading information will be passed on to civil. Based on that information, they can design the structural members, pedestals, equipment support, piping support. So everything will be decided based on these loading information which will be coming out from the stress analysis. Again, this is done by piping engineers. So this is how the piping engineer's role is very critical. They coordinate with structural and equipment department for handling access loads, structural members and equipment nozzles as an output of stress analysis. Okay, so this is part of that only. So verify the requirements of high point vents. So vents and drains shall be decided by piping layout specified. Many times the process PNIDs will be having the process vent and drain, but hydrostatic vents and drain will be provided by piping team only. So assisting the site construction team for any field raised issue by providing immediate solution. So there will be a lot of piping at site, which will take a lot of man hours, a lot of labor will be involved, a lot of cost will be involved. So any error or any information which is required at site with respect to piping, that has to be provided by piping team. So these are few of the responsibilities of piping engineers who are involved right from feasibility till commissioning. So this is how the role of piping engineers is very important.